How you doing?
I am wonderful. You and I had a chance to sit down and have lunch. What was that? Last week or 2 weeks ago? When did you get back?
I got back. I landed on Thursday. I don't know, a couple weeks ago.
That's still in October,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I think we're
Yeah,
November 12th now because time
yeah.
fucking flies. I need to remind myself of the date all the time.
Totally. Man, it's already been, it's coming up on 3 weeks back.
So for those
Yeah,
that don't know that might listen to this, Jeff just completed the Pacific Coast Trail, right? Is that the
Pacific Crest Trail.
Crest
Yeah,
Trail? Excuse
the
me.
Coast Trail is a different one.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it's
Oh, okay.
similar. Yeah,
Which is what, 2,600 miles ish?
yeah. 2653 is the total mileage.
Yeah, which is absolutely insane. How long were you out there for?
I left Milwaukee on May 29th and got to Washington. Was there for my brother's wedding on the 1st and left for the northern part of the state on the 5th. And then I left from Mazama, which is roughly, I don't know, 30, 40 miles from the border, and spent the night at a hostel and left on Thursday, June 6th. And then it took me roughly about 5 days to get to the border, which was completely desolate and only saw like two people in 8 days, from when I started to when I actually got back to semi-civilization. Uh, so I tagged it on June 11th, and it was awesome. Like that, I remember the day. It was a Tuesday, and
Well, let's before you totally get into it, because there's certain things that I don't know that I didn't ask that I
Oh,
wanted
for
to
sure.
ask after. But let's give a little bit of background. So Jeff had worked with me in the very beginning, well, close to the beginning of MyOdisee,
Mm.
and we developed a relationship that way. And I thought that was we can maybe talk about that in a little
Yeah.
bit. But past that, uh, I really want to know what what triggered the idea to hike the PCT.
Wow. I mean, that's a great question. It is pretty deep too. So, the PCT it's an adventure. It's a rite of passage. It's a hero's journey, and it's generally not something that you're gonna just get up and do, like the average person, and not even that. Most people don't even have a clue of what it is. And the Pacific Crest Trail is it's it's such an amazing adventure, and it goes from border to border, from Canada to Mexico, and through 3 states: Washington, Oregon, and California. California is pretty much like 3 states as far as the knowledge goes. And so I first learned about the PCT in 2014. And so my brother had moved out to Washington, and he was in the military, the Air Force, and was stationed at Spokane, Fairchild Air Force Base. So his first year, I flew out there, and hiking was kind of our thing, before he left. And so being out in Washington, I was like, this is going to be freaking awesome. So we planned our first hike together, which was, and I thought we were climbing up to kind of see Mount Rainier. I didn't realize how far we were away from the actual mountain. And we got there, and I just remember hiking for that first time with my brother. It was in and out, actually a little snippet of the PCT, which I didn't know at the time. And we hiked into Shoe Lake, and it was probably one of the most memorable experiences I ever had. And just seeing the mountains for the first time, the North Cascades, it was just so beautiful.
What is it about
Yeah.
seeing mountains? What is it about being in nature? How can you quantify what it is about
Yeah.
that moment in time that was special for you?
Wow. There's something that is just out there. Like when you're seeing the mountains, and especially, for the time, it's you just have an instant connection to something far greater than yourself. And if you're spiritual, it may be energy. If you're religious, it's God. And the energy that you feel is so freaking powerful. It literally, it hits the soul, and that alone is just so powerful. And it was that feeling that really drove me to want to learn about and even hike further. It'd go hiking around the world. And so when we were on the trail, I saw these people walking who had, were obviously walking way faster than us. And most people that do the PCT start at the Mexican border and go north. So by the time they hit that section, they had already traveled, 2,300 miles. They are pretty beat up. And so, we see these people who are walking that are like looking homeless. And there was this guy who's in his 70s, and he was hiking with this younger woman who was in her 20s. And I just found it really peculiar at the time. Like, are you guys dating, or is this your grandpa? Like, is this your dad? Like, and it was, after talking to them, and they were explaining to me, like, we're hiking the PCT, and I was like, what's that? And, I just remember saying, like, it's a trail, it's 2,650 miles, and I was just like, what?
Yeah,
you're walking that? And
why would anybody do that?
Yeah, and that people that have never heard of the trail, that is pretty much their response. Like, it catches them off guard, where you hear it, and then it processes, and you're like, wait, what are you doing? And it's just funny, when I talk to people, and I'm on trail. I was on trail and just ran into people, and I'd get that reaction quite a bit. So anyway, after I learned about that, it's planted in me that it just continued to grow and grow and grow. And a lot of people that do the trail do it when they're retired, or after they get out of the military, or a life change. Could be a divorce, a family death. A lot of people use the PCT to run from something, or to run to something, to find yourself again, or a transformative journey that you can go on to process emotions and feelings and just everything that you learn about yourself. And so after experiencing that, it was like planted the seed, and I was like, I want to do this at some point in my life.
Right.
And that continued. It's just one of those bucket list things where you're like, I want to go skydiving, or I want to do this or do that. I want to hike the PCT. And I think a lot of people, look at it as this thing that is semi-unachievable. It's like you have to be, secure in your finances generally. It costs quite a bit to do the PCT. I've yet to put together, how much I did spend, especially on gear and, hotels and food and, boxes and everything. So it is achievable, and you just have to commit to it like anything else. And most people plan this type of trip for 2 years or a year, and have to on the flip side of that, I did run into people who were going through some things, and their work let them off for 6 months and said, we value you as an employee, and we're helping to invest in your well-being, and like, go out and hike and come back to us, which was amazing to hear. Like, there's actually businesses okay in doing this kind of thing. So for me, it was, after shutting down my business, I had never planned to ever close the gym, Monkey Bar Gym, Milwaukee, and I hit a tipping point. The plan was to move and just with the commercial real estate market right now just being so high, it was extremely difficult to find a space that we could afford that that was workable, you know, on our budget. And for quite a bit, and you know, before having to shut down my business, and you know, it was last resort. So having to shut that down, excuse me, the plan was to move to Florida, and that would have been running away for me. That would have been like just leaving everything after I shut the business down. And you know, I'm happy with the decision I made for me in my life, because it was so stressful. So that really sparked, to answer your question, full circle, it was the best thing I ever did for my well-being and for my personal development. And I needed that. I just yearned for being out in nature to help reset things for me. And
so let me kind of cut you off there. I shouldn't say cut you off. My apologies for cutting you off.
It's all good.
Having worked with you, I should tell you that immediately I knew that there was something special about you, because when you did the enrichment program, you hopped in and you hopped in. Yeah. Like, you know, I remember taking a phone call from you when we were doing, what was it, like a meditation something, right? Mm-hmm. And you were like, man, I don't know what just happened. You hit another level of how you were meditating, and I was like, holy shit, like this guy he just gets it. Yeah. And you're such an intelligent guy and a thoughtful guy.
Thank you.
And very introspective. And all those things, I think, led into that decision of a hero's journey. And like you said, it had seemed like Florida may have been an easier thing.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
But you took something that I know wasn't easy for you. Mm-hmm. I know that pain just as much as anybody, right? Having failed at businesses and closed businesses as well. You know, but you thought was the best, and you didn't run away from anything, and you turned it into a gift.
A tool to learn, for sure.
Yeah, it ended up, you took this situation that was very difficult for you, and you said, you know what, I'm going to do this, and I don't know, you didn't know how it would affect you, but now that you came back, and now that you have the privilege of hindsight, it seems that it's really been a powerful journey for you.
Powerful journey is a very light way to explain or describe how I feel and how I've changed. It's just really hard to put into words, you know, how to even do that. A powerful journey is a great way to describe it. The most powerful journey that I've ever experienced.
So, it really is a hero's journey.
Yeah, 100%. If you choose to take that path, you know, I think the PCT or any through hike can be a hero's journey for somebody. It can be the tool that you can use to help better yourself. There's many different options. That is the path that I took. That's the path that I chose, because it's where my heart led me. And you know,
Can you
just
talk
felt
about
right.
that? Can you talk about that a little bit? Like, at what point did you decide to listen to your heart?
I remember the moment that I decided to do the PCT, and it was May 5th, and I was driving home from the gym, and you know, it was a beautiful day in spring, and you know, in Wisconsin, it's pretty much cold till June 1st, and so it was May 5th, and it was a nice day, and the sun was shining, and I was, you know, in the middle of all these feelings of, you know, having to shut down my business and thinking about what I wanted to do with my life. And I remember driving and seeing people just smiling, walking down the street, and just enjoying their life, you know, and just being happy. And I wanted a piece of that. I wanted to feel happy again. And so it's just, I thought about Florida for a second, and I was like, you know what? It's warm there. It's 24/7, 7 days a week. Like, why am I rushing to go start the rest of my life? Like, this is an opportunity for me to finally slow down and focus on me. And that it was like the epiphany that I needed. It was like, I'm going to hike the fucking PCT. Like why am I running away from anything? It's finally time to do me. And that was like, I mean, it was one of the best decisions I made. And I knew I had a clear objective on what I needed to do. And I put my condo up for sale, and on May 5th, that Friday, and we had an accepted offer. I had an accepted offer on Monday, and I mean, it was like, all right, I'm really doing this.
The universe telling you, this is happening.
It happened so quick. I mean, we closed in under 3 weeks, on the condo. That's unheard of.
Right.
And I got my braces off the day before I left, and I packed up. I mean, you helped move.
Yeah.
I mean,
it was
an operation. It was. But I was so calm and composed. I mean, towards the end, it got a little crazy for me. I mean, I was packing until pretty much 3 in the morning, and I was getting picked up at quarter to 5 to get to the airport. And we were packing stuff up and throwing it in storage, till 9:30 at night the day before I left. And it was. I had help from family and friends, and I very much appreciate everybody helping to get that done, because I couldn't have sailed away in the sunset
right.
without that help. So
was there a point where you were like, you went from I couldn't do that, and that kind of mindset, to I could do that, to that day where you're like, you just felt people's energy and you're like, I need that in my life, that's what I'm doing? Do you think that there was, or maybe you were special in that you didn't have a I can't or I couldn't do that, but most people I think do, I can't do that or I couldn't do that. I'm just curious if you had a transitional period.
For the PCT?
Yeah, for the ability of doing it, not even physically doing it, but in March, had you thought of it, and then
no. I mean, I literally had no intention of closing my business until I had no other choice.
Right.
And so, hiking the PCT didn't even cross my mind until 2-3 weeks before. And, a friend had asked me, if you could just drop everything and go on vacation, what would you do? And I instantly knew. I said I would go hike the PCT, 100%. And generally people take 6 months to do it, and I've never claimed to walk every single mile, and for me it wasn't about that. A lot of people, establishing your why is so important for doing any through hike, because it is the thing that you're always going to come back to. And just know that keeping that a little flexible is very important, because and this is true for anything in life. When you look at a big life commitment that you need to do, you have to be agile and be able to adjust and be okay with these decisions that you make to make changes, because it can change the feel and how your journey develops. And if you want to be very strict with this, there's no change, that will be your experience. Completely, and there really is no way to deviate that. And those people are called purists. They, are completely loyal to, finishing border to border every single mile. And that takes a different kind of mindset. It takes a different kind of training. It takes a different kind of mindset, really.
To be fair, so nobody understands, or nobody thinks that you walked the vast majority of it.
Yeah.
Right.
So I probably cut a couple 100 miles just over the course of the 4.5 months, through hitching and, I was running out of time.
Which was a fucking crazy thing for me to hear, that you were
Hitchhiking.
You're like, yeah. and hitchhiking dozens or 100 times or
Yeah.
whatever. I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah, hitchhiking, here in Wisconsin, I think you associate to like the 70s or like, hippies or whatever. But there's a general fear of getting in a car with somebody that you don't know. But, we do it every day with Uber and
Yeah.
but there's this veil of protection that,
Yes.
because they're represented by a company that, everything is going to be okay. Not necessarily the case. There can be bad experiences with hitchhiking, obviously. I didn't experience any, and most of the people that picked me up are now following me and are part of my group. And people from like 5-minute Uber rides to, deeper conversations that, I sat in a parking lot at the trailhead with a screenwriter, Hollywood screenwriter, and we talked for almost 2 hours. I just
Wow.
picked his brain and just we were just talking about story writing and just it was great, and those conversations are some of the things that you have to sacrifice when you take that purist route, because you lose. I think personally you lose out. It's not always the case, and I don't want to generalize, but I saw the difference in having to do. I mean, some of these people were doing 35, 40 miles a day nonstop, hiking through the night, just it was all about the miles. And so,
Well, look,
again, that experience is,
just,
yeah.
I say this all the time in jiu-jitsu, in MyOdisee, everybody's journey is different.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's narrative is different. You didn't need to walk every mile
Yeah.
to get what you needed here, what you needed spiritually.
Yep.
And, I know that just because obviously we talk outside this, I know that there are some people that are purist that criticized you in, for whatever fucking stupid reason. Like you said, they're just purists and like it shouldn't be every mile. But if it's a hike of 10 miles and you have a spiritual, you go up to Holy Hill here in Wisconsin and you have a spiritual moment, or you reconnect with yourself, or you do something that's special for you,
Yeah.
that's important. That it doesn't matter the mileage, it's your journey.
Yep.
And appreciating your journey, and so I think, don't let those idiots.
Yeah, no, I wasn't. I actually left. I laughed that stuff off now, and it's just, and I've done all these videos. I have so much content that I'm really excited to dive into and re-experience those emotions and feelings, and remembering exactly where those photos were taken or the videos were shot. And I've thought a lot about some of these questions, like when was the moment that you got your trail legs, or when was the moment that you you think about journeys that we all partake in. Like you think of like for me, a football journey, like when does it start? Like beginning of the year, and then like I'm thinking back to like high school football and like hearing from previous athletes that come back and are like, savor this, because it's going to go by really quick. It's going to go by really quick. And it did. But when you're in the moment, you're hiking 20, 25 miles a day on average, it's like life sucks. But it's beautiful at the same time, I mean, you're in so much pain, and like the mental capacity to have to manage that every step painful movement helps you grow as a person. Like your mental toughness is just through the roof after being able to wake up and do this stuff every day. And I remember in Washington took me 6 weeks. It's 505 miles, and through some of the toughest terrain in the Cascades, and I was wet the whole time, and like my boots grew to filled with water, and I had knee pain. I've never had knee pain. Like I ran track all through college and played sports, and never had knee pain, and was in so much pain, from walking and tripping and falling and like kicking rocks. Like I must have kicked rocks like 100 times a day in the beginning because I was stumbling around like a new freaking person, like trying to figure out life with a 50-pound pack on my back, and
Right.
you know, tripping and falling, and I, you know, probably rolled my ankles, I don't know, 10, 15 times a day, each ankle. Like, and you just get up and go again. And that resilience is like, it's, I can keep going on all the things that, you know, happened to me and I experienced, just things, those little things that just all add up to, that you don't really get in real life out here in society. Like, how many times, most people don't even roll their ankle one time a month, you know? And but it's that consistency of things that happen to you on the trail that, like, you know, life is so simple on the trail. You have simple problems, you have simple solutions, and you have a simple life based on activity. You're walking, and you have an objective of miles that you want to try, and you have to try to achieve every single day, because, you know, even cutting, you know, 10 miles, and you do that over a couple days,
Right.
you're, you know, a day and a half behind.
Right.
So, you know, there's a lot of working parts to this, you know, the thru hike, and you learn all of it on the trail. Like, there's, we can talk about my pack. We can talk about many things. Yeah.
What intrigues me is the mindset.
Yeah.
And the mindset of a person that learns to appreciate the journey. And you know what's interesting is you're the lead character in your own book, right? And you created a narrative that would be really interesting to read, right? Like, you went from, you know, a college athlete, then you opened up, I'm skipping stuff, right? But
Yeah.
you opened up your own
Whole
business.
lot of stuff.
Yeah, of course. Right, I'm going, you know, very fast
Yeah.
to do that.
I was a sprinter, so I mean, yeah, I'm used to moving quick. I know 2 speeds, 0 and 100, so I get it.
So, you know, you had this business in Milwaukee for a really long time, get into this trouble situation, and decide to take a completely a right-hand turn and do something that is really inspirational to others, in my opinion. And it's, for me, it is really impressive that somebody took the time to create a story that they would be proud of. You know, if you read that story, you know, you could have taken the easy way out, but that's not what you would have wanted for the lead character in your story. Yeah. And I think that that control of your own narrative is a really powerful thing.
Yeah, it's, I reflected a lot. You're forced to, you know, think about everything on the trail.
Yeah.
And the past, the present, learning to be present. And for me, you know, I'm constantly thinking about the future, and forcing myself to look back at the past in retro, and just comparing certain situations and decisions I made and experiences that I had. Like, it was very powerful to think about that. And I think, you know, it's, man, it just being forced to do that, which I honestly think a lot of people aren't, like, being in our society, we have so many distractions. I mean, that was the biggest thing that I realized coming back into society a couple times, like how many distractions that we have in our daily life that just mutes nature. It just completely mutes it. And when you cut that off, you cut off a connection to your soul. I mean, you cut off such a deeper connection to life and feelings and emotions, and just, you know, call it spirituality, call it whatever you want. It is pure love out there.
Yes.
And it's you're able to be on a much higher frequency in life, and that frequency, you know, just feels good. And having those feelings just like twirl around in you, it changes you. It makes you feel like a better person. And that's what I was chasing the whole time is I want more of this.
Being,
I want,
being in the room with you, you
Yeah.
can feel it. You can just feel that energy. And I talk about relatively frequently my goal in life is to live on the frequency of love.
hmm
And sometimes I feel weird saying that because people don't necessarily understand what I'm saying. And I'm not trying to be like a hippie guy,
Yeah.
but there's a feeling when you just, man,
Yeah.
whatever it is, I want the best for you. I want the
Yeah.
best for you. I want the best for you. And through that love for everything and that appreciation for everything, you just live happier.
hmm
And that's one of the things when you came back, I was like, man, I could just feel it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Not weird. It is interesting that connection that you just drew between that frequency and nature.
hmm
And that's something that I think I'd like to explore more myself.
Yeah. What are my plans? What am I going to be doing now that I have this experience under my belt, and knowing what that feels like, and having the contrast of just like crazy, like owning your own business and having all the stress and just everything all piled up into this like, compressed ball of just stuff that you got to deal with every day. It's I don't ever want to feel that again, ever. I know what I want to keep, and I know, and having experience in business and operations and fitness, like I can still pull into that and now just focus it in a different direction of things I want in my life. And nature is definitely something that I'm going to keep close to me, because it is like, I'll keep saying it, like we don't get out enough. We're too busy. And I think people, like, if you're unhappy, go into nature, get out. And no matter where you are, there's opportunities to do that, and I just think not a lot of people take advantage of it, especially here in Wisconsin. I see it quite a bit. It blew me away just being out west, how many people are active. Like one of the first times I got to this hike with my brother, it was funny because we pulled up and I'm like, what are all, like we pulled up to the forest, like a national forest, like the mountain. And there are fields of cars like parked, and I'm like, are we at the mall? Because like I don't think I've ever seen these many cars ever, and it's great that people are getting out, but it's a double-edged sword, because with so many people coming to the forest, or the outdoors, it is going to taint it over time. So having the respect for nature is really important, in contrast to, obviously having to get out into nature to feel that connection. You can do it through meditation, through yoga, lots of different ways.
Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
And that's my comment that I wanted to make, is like you wanting to be on a higher level. I think because of jiu-jitsu, you've been able to really understand that, I think, more than a lot of other people. And having experienced jiu-jitsu, not at your level, hopefully at some point I'll continue to grow in that, and I will. But having that connection, knowing what that feels like, you just transfer it to your experience out in nature. And that is living at that frequency.
What a great and simple advice. Just saying, if you don't feel good about yourself or whatever,
Yeah.
take a walk.
Yeah. It's simple.
Just go out and date. Oh, it's, right now in Wisconsin, it's 9 degrees out,
Yeah.
right? But that doesn't mean you can't put on a sheep and a coat and just go for a walk.
Yep. I mean, stopping at this older gentleman, he nearly like ran into me, and it was freezing out, and he's walking away, and I'm like, "Hello, sir," he says. And I'm like, it was just funny, and like that reminded me of, what you said, and it doesn't matter the age, it doesn't matter the temperature, what it's like outside, just get out and start moving. I did it with the 75-day challenge before I left, and it's kind of funny thinking about how I was mentally and physically preparing for this trek, and I didn't even decide to do it until, it was like the last thing that I needed to, the decision I needed to make. So it's just funny.
I forgot that you did that beforehand. That's
Yeah.
right.
I was walking every day.
What
I already knew my mileage. Like,
that.
it's funny,
It's funny that the universe was prepping you for something you didn't know that you were going to do.
Yeah, it's incredible.
So I think a last thing that I found to be really interesting that I noticed since you've been back is it seems as though you're taking more of a interest in artistic things,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like, I mean, obviously you finished tattoo, that's,
Yep.
but then you're just randomly playing the guitar, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah.
You have, you want to put together a podcast, you want to put together
Which
a
I have been
compilation
doing,
of movie, like of, your inspiration. There's a bunch of things that you want to do that all are very artistic.
Mm-hmm.
And do you attribute that change to your time on the PCT?
I do, and I wrote quite a bit on the trail. I don't even know the style or what you'd even call what I've been writing. It rhymes. It could be music. It could be poetry. It could be. It's just deeper. All my deeper thoughts and what I'm feeling, and I've been able to better than I have in the past. And I think, yeah, just being out in nature and being with myself and not having to worry or not have the anxiety of the pressures of, paying the bills and just like all the stuff that just clouds feeling good,
Yes.
and so when I was on trail, I didn't have those issues, and it really allowed, I think, my brain to start firing, to start like, hey, you got this other side of me,
Right.
like
You've totally ignored.
I've been here
Yeah.
your entire friggin' life, man. You haven't paid attention to me. I'm just sitting on the couch waiting for you to say, hey, bud, you want to come hang out? And like, I did have this stuff in me when I was a kid. Like, I drew this picture of Jesus when I was 7 that like my whole family like gawked over and was like, how did you do that? Like, I took drawing in art class and when I was young, and I just remember like singing on chairs when I was a kid and like wanting to play music and just be an entertainer as well.
Yeah.
And I've been able to get that out with my business, owning a gym and being a trainer. I've been able to do those kinds of things. And like over the years, I've built, self-taught, well, a lot of help from my dad, but a lot of craftsmanship things. Like I built everything in the gym, and I found that was a great outlet for me to help, spur the creativity for me to design things and like get it out of my head onto paper and actually create it. And that process for me is really empowering. It makes me feel freaking awesome to like get it out of my head, write it down, draw it out, plan it out, actually like figure out how to make it, put it together, and then finish it,
Yeah.
and then have it fucking work.
And have that sense of pride that you accomplished it.
It's just, yeah, it's extrinsically rewarding and also intrinsically as well. And, being on the trail alone and all that solitude and in your thoughts and just feeling the beauty of nature, it was an open palette for me. It was an open canvas. I could literally think about and in my head do and perform and be that type of person, and I really fucking fell in love with it. It was just like, I want this for my life when I get back, and so that's how I planned for my future. Is I literally thought about it and experienced it, and there's a flow that you get on the trail that is kind of out of body, like you almost are able to meditate. And I had so many visualizations on the trail that like was not caused from any substance, but
Right.
it was just in my head that I've been able to really hone in on my visualization skills. And I think being in my own head and being able to think on the trail and getting rid of all those other distractions, I was able to then articulate the vision or the visual response I was getting in my head into like explaining it and describing what was actually happening. Right. And just going through all of that, again, it turned a light switch on in my head, that other side of the brain, the creativity side. And I want to keep going with it. Like, I know I need to learn all these new skills, and that's exciting. And that was one of the things that, you know, I read about with hiking was like, you need to have something set up for you. You got to put out another carrot when you're done, because if you don't, you're going to feel like, you know, you're going to get depressed, you're going to get sad. And so that's why
you start living in the past again. Man,
yes, yep.
I don't have that again.
Yeah.
And you just can't do that. You have to enjoy the journey. And that's the problem with goals and setting, you know, if you hit a goal, then what? You know, and if it's such a huge monumental thing, people hit that goal and it's like, well, then what? It happens all the time in normal everyday life. Yeah. People that I work with, you know, they hit a certain, let's say, financial goal. I'm just not happy, right? Well, then what? And they don't plan.
You're chasing something else, you know, and I talked a lot about this, you know, on my road to Uncovery and in my group where I posted all the videos, is that, you know, just accomplishing these goals is superficial. Like, whether it's financial or any accomplishment that you can achieve in your physical life is superficial. It's and you're always going to be chasing that new accomplishment where you think you're going to feel happy. And I fell into that with my business, and there were a lot of goals and objectives that I just didn't hit for a long time, and it put me into a spot where I was depressed and I was sad, and like failure is like, it's just, it was never an option for me. I never even fucking thought about it. And the same mentality with that on the trail is like, I'm finishing this. Like, I'm quitting is never an option. Like, it's just not. Like, I'm gonna do this.
Right.
And you have to have that mindset, but also truly listen to your body as well, because, you know, if otherwise you're gonna get injured. And I saw a lot of people push really hard, and their bodies just gave up. So, yeah.
I know that we could talk about this forever,
for sure.
But we've been recording for I don't know how long, probably an hour or so. I maybe more, maybe less. No fucking idea. But so we kind of chatted about this the last time that we met. Mm. But if anybody comes to MyOdisee and is thinking about doing a hero's journey, they're looking for that kind of next step.
Yeah.
Would you help me work with them to get the most out of their hero's journey, to get the most out of their experience, and kind of use what you've learned to better that?
Yeah, of course. I would love and put, 100% of everything I can to my capacity into helping you. And whomever client joins the program, I would love to work with both of you guys. So just because I know going through my own hero's journey, it changed me for the better. And I think I know that's what people want when they may not even know what a hero's journey is, but they're looking to coaches like us for help. And, it's that feeling of transformation is why I want to help people through my experiences. So.
Yes. And you have that frequency, and it's so hard until you've experienced it. It's so hard to put into words.
Yeah.
But I think that would be a real great addition to what we do at MyOdisee, and I know that we work together very well, and figure out how to make that happen.
We'll make it work. I'm not too worried about that. I've learned to be in the moment, and every day on the trail you have to be, and it is, I think, a learned behavior. It's a learned thought process. You have to be constantly cognizant of like trying to actually be in the moment. because there are a lot of distractions. And right now I'm just so present and able to be in that, be in the moment, which is really exciting for me.
What
because,
if the whole world could do that?
Man, I think a lot of people would be really happy.
Yeah.
And I'm just, I'm not really worried about going back to work or finding a job or like.
You're the dude.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, I'm living my life right now with the people that I want to spend time with, and that's.
You're still working.
Yeah,
You're working
yeah.
towards something.
Yep,
You're working
yep.
towards living with a certain purpose. It's not as though you're just being lazy.
Yeah.
I know you're not being
No,
lazy.
no,
That's not
no.
even in your. That's not your DNA.
No.
Right? You're still working, and you're still, but you don't want to live the same way with the same stresses. And I think it's important that people realize that you're not saying, that you're going to go smoke dope. I was just going to say smoke dope under the bridge, with nothing to do. You want to add value.
Mm-hmm.
You just want to add it in a different way, a more wise way.
Yeah. I'm learning new skills is important to me, and honing in and developing those skills. It's going to take time, and I'm patient, and being able to be present is going to really allow me to truly hone in on those skills, because if you're not present when you're learning something, you're going to lose it. So, and that was a big takeaway for me on the trail is continue to be present. And I had a fair amount of anxiety that I dealt with on a daily basis that I think was self-induced by being forced and thinking about the future and worrying about it. And
right.
I mean, having to, process that and learn that about myself on the trail, and then overcome those feelings. Like, I don't even feel that anymore. Like, it's not even like comprehensible to even, like, I know, like, people talk about like the triggers and like, events that pop up. Like, normally things would happen and I would instantly feel this like rush of anxiety, and now I just don't. Like, I've learned to not do that anymore for me, and that was powerful for me.
Man, that'd be powerful for a lot of people.
Yeah, I think so.
Well, I'm excited to watch you get the word out about this kind of stuff. Obviously, my focus is on kind of that mental side, but all the information that you put out will be, I'm sure, entertaining. And we didn't get into at all any of the stories from from the trail and all that kind of stuff. So obviously I saw some of it on the Facebook group, but I look forward to that, seeing what you got coming up in the future. And
thank you.
Like I said, working together on some capacity to make sure that when people do Heroes Journeys, that they feel the same way you feel now.
Yeah, I mean, that's the ultimate goal. And like now my life is pretty simple, and I'm just trying to transfer that from the trail into actual life, and take some of those habits in those routines that I just dug in the groove, and take that and transfer it to real life. That's exciting, because when you can rid the body and rid yourself of those habits that may not necessarily be bad, but not the right habits for you, and then work in new ones, like, it's exciting. Life is fun, and I want that for more people too. I do. And it takes work. It takes a commitment, that's for sure.
Preach, my friend.
Yeah.
Thank you for your time.
Yeah, no problem, brother.
Appreciate you.
Thank you.
And